Here we go. It's time for another sprint zone. 10-4. And we have a large crew today. A few returning riders that haven't been in a while. We see Tony there, and there's some others way back in the back, and we will call them out later. Up front, we got Curtis and Hernan, and Curtis was doing a ton of work on the way over. In fact, I think he's been on the front the entire way out since we left the HP building. In any case, it's go time, and we're making the corner, and I don't know, it's like Curtis is kind of up the road and going a little bit harder than I think he needs to be at this point. We'll see in a second. But looking, there's some good positioning there. Isla, who's been really good at these cheeky little moves to get up near the front to keep her position. And here's what I was talking about with like Curtis up front. So we got Curtis, Hernan, I think that might be Jason up there. Um, Heading towards the railroad tracks, which I'm thinking, okay, chill a little bit. You know how things get strung out around those corners. But you'll see that in the video. They'll see it and they'll be like, oh, I didn't realize we had that much of a gap. But Curtis has just been on fire like the whole time here. We're about ready to cross the dreaded railroad tracks. You see everybody come out a little bit and swing in. I pretty much go straight across because I'm a mountain biker and we don't be needing to do that whole swing out stuff. Anyway, it's game on. And Curtis is just going. He's got a little bit of a good group here, and maybe he remembers last week I was like calling him out for not doing any work. Well, he has clearly made up for that today. There is no sense of urgency to bring him back yet. And we're just kind of sitting there knowing that there are strong men with us in the house today. And I should mention that Ben Nelson is in the house, and he has shared his power and heart rate telemetry with us so we can actually see what the big man puts out compared to the rest of us. We got Tony, who hasn't been here for a while, like I said. He was lamenting about, hey, I've been this and that, and these are my excuses for why I'm not going to be strong today. Typical bike racer stuff. We got Greg here looking good, nice arrow helmet. He doesn't have the eat more chicken bike today, so it looks like he's going to be a little more serious. Isla, Steve Highland, John back there, holding a pretty tight formation. Curtis still up front, just driving it. And there's some wattage being put out. I mean, 200 watts or so. If I'm putting that out sitting in, he's got to be putting out a little more than that. And we've got a long way to go. You can look at the map in the upper left-hand corner of this video and see where we are. So there at this point is no reason to be going super hard. And there's no, how can I say this? There's no motivation for anybody back here to do anything either. Justin, who's been riding really strong lately, comfortably, just sipping on his bottle, looking back through the pack there. We can see Isla still hanging in there quite nicely. No one at this point is feeling any pressure to do anything, wanting to put any kind of pressure on, and is pretty content where they are at this point, which can be annoying after a while. There's a little bit of a headwind up here, which is kind of why the speeds are down. Like, not that like 24 is down, but I would say a pretty strong headwind, and that's definitely keeping the group together. And I can look back, I can see there's riders that are letting, a gap open up behind Isla a little bit. And I'm wondering what that's all about, but maybe they're not concerned. Oh, I can see it being closed now. That looks like maybe another Jason back there. Up front, Curtis still just driving. So pretty much the whole way of the map up here, he's been just up there just hitting it. I am I'm feeling good for the most part. Not all that anxious to get up front because I know there are big men, strong men, heads of state back there just taking it easy. And if you look at the wattage, you can see like my wattage being close to the front and Ben's wattage. And if you're like watching, much of it, his wattage is much lower than mine. Part of it because maybe he's more aero, but he's definitely got more shelter. And here you see it kicks up a little bit when probably there were those letting gaps open up and you always get that on these hills, and then they kind of close it up, so you always need more wattage, which is another reason to kind of just stay up near the front. It's a good thing. And it's safer. Curtis finally pulling off the front. Tony looking strong there, and it looks like we're starting to form some sort of organization here. Coming off this little hill, ramming and a thumping, wattage is low, speed's getting up there, 25, and no one seems to feel like they need to jockey for position, and that's kind of a good thing. There's not much shoulder, and there are some cars back, but they've got the double yellow here, so I'm not that concerned. Looks like it's my turn to take over at the front. Looking rearward. Yep, I'm definitely at the front for those people who doubted me. And I'm looking back, and there's usually people that like say they don't want to be in the mix. And I can see Isla back there. Normally she's like, I don't want to be in the mix. I don't want to be in the sprint zone. I don't want to do this. But yet in the mix with everybody else. And now things are beginning to happen. Mr. Highland, who has not been around for a while, coming towards the front. Now, this is a mistake that I made. I should have come off on my right side, but I came off on the left because I really wasn't certain how strong the echelon was. But, it's not horrible at this point. But I definitely want to keep my position up here. And Curtis is nice enough to let me slot in. He's done a lot of work. Right now, he's the gatekeeper, and life is good. I have a good spot up front, and respect is shown because if Curtis wasn't kind enough, there's not a lot of these other people back there that would have let me in. And I slide back. And we'll see this later on. But I digress. Yeah, I'm a little disappointed because I turned the camera on a little bit early. So I only get like 95% of this sprint zone. That being said, it's game over by the time the camera runs out. I wasn't going to be there anyhow, so it's not that bad. But we got Steve Highland up at the front, just a ramming and a thumping. And you can see that even I and Ben are throwing out some reasonable wattage just to stay in the mix. Now I suspect that Ben is off to the right someplace, taking a lot of wind, sheltering people. But it's an amazing amount of watts there. Ian punching above his weight, and this is impressive. I think he commented that this is like the furthest and longest he's made it here. The headwind definitely makes it a little bit easier. Oh, Ben threw down like 700 watts on that one. I don't know if you were paying attention, but everyone's tight. And this is where the selection is to be made here, at least the first one. So a lot of the wannabes, and we can wave goodbye to some of those. Oh, I can see Isla is gone. Bye-bye. She has the strength to be with the group. It's just doesn't have the acceleration. And so that's where we have her saying goodbye. A little more training in the acceleration department, and she'd be there with the rest of us. Rob Baum making the selection, hiding back there. Mike Weida back there. There's a lot of wheel suckers still in the mix. Justin pushing ahead of me, and Steve Highland comes off on the correct side. And it looks like maybe a chance for some organization to be formed. And you can see it looks like two pretty distinct echelons here. And good wattage is being put out. Selections are going to be made here. People are getting close to the yellow line here, and I don't know if I actually caught it on this video. I don't think I wanted to shame anybody, but this was the worst breaks in the rules of engagement that I've seen in my entire life of making these videos. There were a couple of riders that were like 2 and 3 feet over the yellow line. I'm like, what the heck? I may have to like just go back and like snapshot that and post that on the group, but I was horrified at that. I mean, I know you want to stay with the group, but I think we talk about the rules of engagement, and I'm not just saying that to be cute. We don't want to be over that yellow line. Regardless, I've taken time away from those that deserve some attention in the video. So Tony's up front, riding strong. Ben's riding strong up front. Ian punching above his weight, looking good. And you can see the wind blowing here, even on Justin's, the back of his neck there. Look how much turbulence is in that jersey. I'm saying, Justin, join a team, get a kit, get a team kit. But, what's 10 watts? You have plenty to spare. So here we go again. Tony comes off the front. And it looks like Ben now. And you can look at his wattage, 360, 400, 500 watts. And he is starting to put some pedal down. And here comes Rob Baum flexing hard here, not having the patience to sit in, flexing hard and wants to get himself a position high up in the mix. Well, I might say for two reasons, he does not deserve to be there. And I'm going to say for two reasons. One, he doesn't really have the strength. And two, he's one of the riders that was like 3 feet over the line that broke the rules of engagement. I wasn't going to call him out in this one, but I looked at that and I was like, no, we can't have that. For those of you who have raced, there's a thing called a yellow line rule. We've all raced with it. And if the race official sees you cross that yellow line, bam, because otherwise you get swarmed or whatever. I love you, Rob, but that was wrong. And if you don't believe me, I got evidence. You just trust me. You know what you did. There's one other rider out there with you. I'm not going to call him out here, but I think I made my point. Anyway, Steve Hyland going to the front, looking good, riding strong, and now it looks like we have some rotation starting to form. And let's thank Ben for that one. He was the rider that was raising his hand saying, okay, let's get organized. And this is what I like when the patron comes up front and gets things organized. Greg, for the first time, coming to the front in the rotation. Curtis, happy to be in the rotation. See Joel there for a second coming through, looking good. John coming through. I think that's Jason. I gotta get these names, it's like too many people. I get old, I forget stuff. Lots of people coming through, and maybe some impatience here. People riding up on close to the yellow line, and I think they don't want to be caught back. But most of the riders up here are strong men, heads of state that you don't have to worry about. If you are behind some of the heads of state, you don't have to worry about it. And there goes the attack by Ben Hernan. Oh, way outside the yellow line there. Oh, unfortunate there. And things are starting to go away from us at this point. And it looks like at this point, we're kind of blocked in. Like, the riders move over because riders aren't strong enough because they wasted their energy. And anyway, it's game over at this point for a lot of us, being boxed in. I could see the frustration in Curtis's gesture there, as you can see people walking away, and there are those that are unable to pull these people in. And this is my mistake for being back this far. I shouldn't be back this far because I could be up there, but I'm not. And none of these riders back here have the ability to accelerate. When Curtis came by, they had a chance to maybe get on his wheel. Or if Curtis went by a little bit slower, he could have worked with some people. Nah, maybe not. Maybe I would be. Me and Tony might have been the only people he could have worked with. Oh, let's wave to the TTH guys. Peace out, guys. Respect, respect. All right, and back to the game on. So we're in the chase group here, and this is about where the film runs out. As you can see, the big men are up the road, and they are gone. I'm like, I'm not doing that much wattage back here. I'm like, okay, I've resigned. I've got a lot of an overhead like left here, but it's too little, too late. And I can ramble on about what actually happens here. We catch Curtis, and then I get scraped off the back because there's a rider up front that was coming off the right-hand side, and the guys coming around didn't give me enough room, and after I came off the front, no acceleration, game over. Anyway, a good time was had by all. The rules of engagement, we need to talk about that. I'm going to make a speech, and maybe show some video, because that's not safe. Anyway, enough of my rambling. Peace out. Until next time. And I'll start the camera later so we capture the whole thing. Bye.